Welcome to Play Like a Girl, the power of cyber games for career growth. My name is Jessica Gulick. I lead a company called Cat's Eye, which is dedicated to helping cyber community grow, whether it's from marketing with firms and startups to epic cyber games. I'm also the president of the board at the Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu. Speaker today, this is Mary.
Oh, but I love your intro for me. Hey, everybody. My name is Mary Galloway. I am the CEO and a founding board member for the Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu. We are a 501c3 national nonprofit with international reach. We do hands-on cybersecurity training. We provide a community. We provide resources. We provide basically a cyber jitsu tribe for anyone trying to enter, advance, and lead in cybersecurity. My day job, I work for one of the top vendors in the world as a customer success architect. My specialty is XOR, so SOAR operations, those kind of things. And I'm super excited to be here with Jessica talking about something we all love, games.
I love it as a field is that I feel like a lot of sports out there, you have to have so and win. But in cyber, we can do it every day. There's tons of opportunities for us to help others, as well as make a difference in the community in terms of protecting people's privacy, their data, their company, their revenue, their livelihood. There's just so much potential here. Over the next hour or so, Mary and I are going to explore half hour, sorry, not hour, we're not going to be that long, half hour. And there's actually, for the policy wonks out there, there's quite a few games and options for you as well. So Mary, and also the audience, I do want a dynamic chat going on here. So you guys pipe in the chat section. Let's unpack the title, Play Like a Girl. What does play like a girl mean to you?
That's an interesting one. I love the title because girls are typically underrated, right? They think we can't do certain things and we can't do this and that. So when I think of play like a girl, it means playing based on who you are, being your authentic self when you go into some type of gaming environment, especially with cybersecurity, right? It's about bringing your confidence, bringing the skills that you do have, even if it's not in cybersecurity or in tech, to the table, and utilizing those things that you've learned in your experiences. I played some sports in school. I was I ran track and I was a cheerleader. But with that, it was just kind of like, oh, we're in here doing this thing. It's cool. It's an individual thing. Playing like a girl, you're on a team. You're building a team. You're building that camaraderie. And so that's what I think, for me, that's what it means.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. When I think about play like a girl, I also think about preparation. We tend to prepare to play, collaboration,
yes, we do.
learning, striving for excellence, and helping others. My favorite sport was always basketball, as you know, Mary.
Yep.
When I with guys, it just seemed like the guys were all about their moments in the spotlight, right? Can they, get down court faster than everybody else? It was very individually competitive. But it was funny to me because it seemed like the guys really still had this like invisible code of rules that they always played by. And they there were certain basketball skills that they were leveraging to win. But they didn't really go outside of that. Whereas when I played with women, that was a different story. There's a lot of structure up front. Like, I remember we prepared, if you will. Okay, what's going to be our defense strategy? What's, are we man on man? Is it 3-2?
Mm-hmm.
Is it 2-3? Is it, what's going to be our offensive strategy? But once we had that figured out, there were like no rules. As grown women, we could whatever it took for the team to win, whether it was intimidation or getting them to laugh, or some of the mental games of strategic phone call breaks, or tell me I gotta have some water. Like a girl always meant, it was cool. I would take my kids at the time when they were growing up to these basketball games with me, and I would play, and they would say, "Hey, Mom, that's really weird. It's very different than watching men play basketball." Because you would hear it, the other team saying, "Keep shooting, Jess. It's okay. You missed. Let it go. Try this. And they were very helpful, but still incredibly competitive. Okay, as a team,
Oh yeah,
as an individual. So they wanted to win, and they got upset when they lost, and they'd fight for every point. But as a team, we just celebrated all the wins and all the great shots. So I think playing like a girl is about that preparation, that collaboration, and learning, but striving to win while helping others, not walking on top of them. So that's why I really like this title. But we're going to talk about cyber games, and I think maybe we'll start off, Mary, by just talking about some of our favorite kinds of games that are out there. And
mine favorite are the easy ones.
You guys are going to contribute. What are your favorites?
Yeah, my favorite ones are the easy ones. No, so my very first cyber game was actually Cyber Olympics, and I really liked it because I came from a technical networking background. I wasn't really into the cybersecurity side of things quite yet. And I got on this team with Cyber Jitsu. It was me and like 4 other members at the time. And it was really cool because we had to find the vulnerabilities in this operating system. It was like, I don't even know where to start. But because we were a team of folks doing it, we all had different strengths. I like that. So while I like the individual ones that maybe you can do with like Range Force or Immersive Labs, I like the team-based ones because you're getting information and knowledge from different areas, right? Because I was a networking person, so I knew the networking stuff like it was nothing, but I wasn't really comfortable with the security stuff. And so I was able to learn as we went, but somebody else was able to take that part of the competition on, and we could get points, and we made it to the second round. And so I like Jeopardy style. I like individual based, but I really, really like the ones where you have to have a team, the ones where you have to find the vulnerabilities. Sometimes the ones are like red versus blue. I like those a little bit, but those are a lot harder. And yeah, my brain power. Sometimes I just want to do fun stuff, quick, easy stuff. Let's work as a team. Let's get this going. What about you? What's your favorite?
So I love to watch the games, not just play. And I like watching the CTF. Yeah, I do like more of the red versus blue. And I love the commentary, if you will, like hearing them just using teamwork and communication. Hey, I've got this covered. Did you see that? It just reminds me of a real penetration test by a real, right? And the chatter that you get back and forth. But I also, surprisingly, I got the opportunity to partake in watching the Cyber 912. If you guys are familiar with that, you can Google search it. Cyber 912 is a policy competition. And it started, I think, the year after 9/11, which is why the title. But it was fantastic to watch students really take on this concept, and even adults. Some of the expert speakers that they have at the program talk about, what is cyber war? How do nations communicate? I think a lot of times with these competitions, we forget that cybersecurity is not just about ones and zeros, right? It's not just about the networking and the hacking, but how that amplifies all the way up to nation state discussions and relationships. And I think some of the policy competitions really allow you to unpack that further, and can be fascinating and challenging for the students to look at, what's matter, and policies can really impact the way the community goes. But I just love the variety.
Okay. So how talk to us. So why are they important? Why are these games important to the community? Like what benefits do they bring to the community?
Yeah, I feel like the competitions, and why I'm passionate about it, is competition builds the best. It builds the best cyber defenders, the best in the community, the best strategies. It really lets us test our skills offensively and defensively in a safe environment where we can push ourselves, right? It's okay to walk on the wild side a bit, to understand that motive, that side of things, and then what's the impact. I just feel like the cyber world's so different than brick and mortar. I don't know about you, Mary, but it's a lot different working from home.
Yes.
People, leadership, trying to organize staff, just communicate my feelings. I mean, the world is different in the cyber world, and because of that, I don't think it's sufficient anymore just to look at cyber education, labs, and certification. I'm a big believer that we need cyber games to be part of that package that everybody has an opportunity to go through so they can really experience what a hack is like or how to work as a team. Experience is key, and the best education out there doesn't let you see it or feel it, I guess, or live it. And so I think games allow us to mimic more real life experiences. How about you?
Yeah.
How do you see it impacting the community?
Well, so I used to work at a casino, and one of the things that we looked for was whether or not someone that was coming to work at the casino had cyber CTF, any of that stuff on their resume, right? Participating in competitions, not only does it help you build your skills, but it also shows that you take initiative. You're taking initiative to go out and learn something outside of your education or your certifications, right? It's giving you it gives you a leg up. And that's important, right? There's a number of folks in the community that cannot afford that can't afford to take one of those expensive courses, but they can afford to take, a Cyber Aces or go to Cyber or any of these free places, come to Cyber Jitsu for free competition stuff, because guess what? They don't have to pay for it, right? And so they're still able to get that experience, that knowledge, that information to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk. So I like how you said adding cyber competitions into that fold of education experience and certifications, because it's just as important, and now I can see, oh, these people can do XYZ. Let me give them a shot and see if they can actually come in and take what they've learned and utilize it here at work, right? I may not have to teach them a whole lot, but I may still have to do a little bit, but they have the aptitude to do something like this.
Yeah, the other thing that I noticed when we were doing professional competitions, right? The cool part was bringing the community together. There's so many small businesses out there that have, their security teams are maybe one or two people, right? And those security folks, they work all day long. And when they get home, they may or may not have a lab at home they can practice on. But it's also not as much fun as interacting with other people. Right? We might talk businesses and have them do like a pickup team professionally so that their security teams can work with security teams in other companies. And that helped help them really start to expand their network, as well as meet other people and learn from their peers in a way they couldn't have had they been just in a job, 9 to 5, or working shift work,
right.
a same job, same network environment. So I think that's another contributing factor, and that brings up the last piece. I mean, the reason why some of the external penetration teams are so fantastic is because they get to practice every day in a different environment.
Right.
Right. And so if you don't have access to different environments, you don't have the ability that they do, vendors do, providing penetration testing services where, and I feel like in games you can start to touch into that capability.
Right. So I'm thinking back to just the title of this, right? Play like a girl, and that's what we are, right? We're women. We're people that identify as women, non-binary. Doesn't matter. Cyber games gives you the opportunity to build your confidence, to, build your self-esteem. I've seen plenty of folks that have come in and said, "Oh, I'm not ready for that. Oh, I'm not good at that." And they start tinkering away at something, and it's like, I know what to do. I've seen this before. I've heard this, or let me use my experiences to do this, right? And then they help each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I really, and you said this earlier, I really, really like that aspect of being able to just help the person next to you figure it out. Like y'all are figuring it out together, and then the light bulb goes off, and it's like, holy crap, I just got 10 points. And it's like, all right, let's keep going. It motivates you to keep going.
It does. It absolutely does.
And we're motivated by different stuff. So yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm not seeing any questions over on the chat section. I'm hoping some folks have some, but the obvious one I can think of is, how do folks get started? If they really want to get into cyber games, etc., what do you think are some of the first steps?
Join Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu and get in our competition Slack. That's run by.
All right, that was important. Let's repeat that one.
That's run by Marcel. And Marcel's in the group. They go through practice sessions. They plan different events. We actually create CTFs, and so that's another great way to get some experience, is to actually create CTF questions, because you have to learn what you want to put a question into, right? So that's definitely a great way. One that I've done in the past, Cyber Aces, that actually is by SANS. It's online, cyberaces.org. And what's cool about that one was, well, at the time, if you completed that, you had the ability to get selected to attend the U.S. Cyber Challenge competition or boot camp week of events. Mm-hmm. And every single day you learn something different as it pertains to cybersecurity. And it was free. Mm-hmm. Right? They put you up at a college and you get to go and you get to hang out. They feed you. And you're learning about cybersecurity. There's a competition involved at that event as well. And so that was a pretty cool one. Cybery, they've got a really good suite of tools as well for learning not only the competition side, but the actual training side. Some of the free ranges that we've used in the past, Range Force, they have a community edition, and they have, with each challenge, they have like a study guide to help you, to guide you through that. Who else? Immersive Labs, same kind of thing. They have an educational component to the competition component. And so if you're stuck on something, you can go and do a little bit of research and get started. If you're a little further along, there's Over the Wire. That's one of my favorites as well. It's a Linux-based platform. And all you need is a Linux box and a Ubuntu box to be able to navigate between the different worlds that they have. And so those are some easy ways to get involved. Jessica?
Yeah, no, I was just thinking through, one of the types, I don't know if we mentioned earlier, was the concept of, and now I just drew a blank, that happens. The kinds of games where they're puzzles, basically, Jeopardy style games out there. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these games now are directly aligning to the NIST cybersecurity workforce framework. So they'll tell you about the skills that you need to know. And you don't necessarily need to know, 20, 30 skills. You can kind of start off and be very targeted. about what you're doing and use these games to not just learn, but maybe experiment to see if you're interested in something, and how far you can go, which is nice. But I think I love that you mentioned WSC and finding a community, because a lot of these games are either team oriented or they're individual. You can compete as an individual. Um, so it's finding that community so you can play with others to keep it more interesting, right? And then share. And then if you're on Twitch, which is another streaming channel, you can watch people play these games. So you can just be a watcher and a stalker, which is probably what I'm best at. Because I'm very visual. I'm a visual learner, right?
Right.
So I want to see somebody else do it first. We even have our Wicked Six, which was the WSC major competition back in 2019 pre-pandemic. It's streamed and recorded on YouTube, so you can watch that. You can hear some of the shoutcasters talking through. But you can
Mm-hmm.
games. There's games almost, every week. I know for the students in the audience there, if you take a look at Cyber Fast Track by SANS, you need to register before March 31st, which is around the corner. But it's an online free CTF for undergraduate students. 400 top performers will get a $1,000 scholarship for their undergrad from a scholarship foundation. And the top 1,000 performers get invited to the Cyber Foundations Academy, one free course, various seminars and workshops, and then up to 100 students may qualify for scholarships from SANS EDU. So not only can you play, but we're talking about the top 1,000 performers. I mean, you could do all right, maybe not awesome. It's not just limited to the top best players. Those are some wonderful prizes for the majority of people that will be playing. So you definitely want to take a look at Cyber Fast Track, and I think you just posted in there before March 31st and sign up. We have a couple that we're going to do, right? We've got some big news coming around the corner. Can't quite get there, but look at WSC.
Yeah.
We got some competitions coming up as well. And these will be Jeopardy style. So they're kind of, I think one of them is more for beginners, and then the other one is more for mid-level and more advanced. So some great opportunities to just try your hand at some cyber games. I do want to put a plug out there for those that maybe don't have cyber skills, but you're just kind of coming to this conference exploring cybersecurity as a career field. There are really two kinds of games out there right now. There are games that are made for cybersecurity professionals, right? And those will help you with your skills and your career development, etc. And then there are games with people that don't have as much expertise, but maybe I would say there's security awareness games, right? Use friend Keenan, she's got her, which is addictive.
Yeah.
That is addictive, and it takes no skill in cyber whatsoever, but helps you start learning and getting exposed to cyber concepts. So it's just knowing what level you're at and finding the games that are available to you. Last is to watch. We can stalk it.
We can stalk it. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, Cyber 912, that policy competition I mentioned earlier, I think it was it last week or the week before? And it was streamed, and I think the recording is online. So you can look up Cyber 912 for 2021. You could probably watch it and see what, cybersecurity policies are all about. And then you had the President's Cup, which is the federal employee cyber competition, played. A lot of the games now, I'm sure CCDC and the National Cybersecurity League, I'm sure their games are going to be streaming as well.
Yeah, something else too that I just thought about. for those that are looking for, you know, you're not quite ready to play, you're kind of still kind of interested. There's a site called ctftime.org, and on there they list out um, the majority of um, competitions around the world that you can participate in, and they tell you if it's like Jeopardy style, if it's attack defend, what the dates are, if it's team or individual based. And so what's cool about that is they also post write-ups from previous competitions. And so as a part of the preparation that we do as women, as those who identify as women, um, we like to prepare and see what our competition looks like. And so looking at those different write-ups on that website is really helpful. I know that I've been working on some CTFs in the past. I haven't done any in the last year or so per se. But I would go there and I would look to see, hey, is there a write-up for this? And then kind of see what the thought process was that somebody else did, like how they went down that path, and then try to recreate that. And as you're recreating it, it helps you see, oh, okay, this is what can happen. But you also start to learn additional things that could be done, right? And those same things can be skills that you gain to add to your resume, right? It's great that we play all these games, but if you're trying to use this as a way to get a job or you know, increase your skills at your current job or whatever, you need to be able to translate what you're learning into some kind of tangible words on a resume or on your LinkedIn. If those competitions have digital badges, which that's a thing that's coming out now, a lot of digital badges, that's a great way to showcase the skills that you had. You can also just look at the type of questions that you're answering or the type of scenarios that you're dealing with and figure out, okay, these sound like vulnerability management assessments or something like that. So that's kind of a skill that I have from the competitions. There's so many different things that we can do from playing games. You know, if it's something you're interested in, I really strongly recommend going after it, playing the games, doing it. Jessica, what have you seen on resumes and things like that as far as games go, or have you seen that stuff listed?
Yeah, it's definitely emerging. One of the struggles that cyber games has found in the last decade, if you will, was a lot of the games were team oriented, and it was hard to find the individual skill sets. A lot of the recruiters don't understand the value of games, but if you can get to the managers in the interviews, they do. My recommendation is always to keep it registered on your LinkedIn, put it on your resume, and use it for conversational pieces during interviews. And what I mean when I say that is a lot of these games tell you what skills you're utilizing, whether it's forensic skills or skills or you know, there's a summary of it. Just like you would collect your CPUs for certs, you know, make sure you're documenting somewhere where you've played. And it's not always important that you placed, right? I mean, that's great. And if you're an advanced gamer, you go for it and get ranked. But for those that maybe aren't ranking yet, it's still important that you show that you've participated in the games and what kind of games. What did you learn? What kind of insights did you gain? So be very specific, be very clear. Don't write a novel about it. Be very succinct and interesting, right? Because you're not trying to dictate everything on your resume. What you're trying to do is get interest, right? Show that I realize that my current job doesn't do this job that I'm trying to get, but I've been doing this in games. I played here, and that shows my ability to problem solve under pressure as a team player. I played over in this environment, and I got real life experience on SCADA attacks and how do you handle yada, yada, yada kind of thing. Those are not only important, but they're interesting, right? So as a manager, I'm looking at your resume, I'm like, really? A SCADA attack? Tell me more, you know? And that's your opportunity to open up. And that's important, right? Because you might not have that lab in your basement that you can play on.
Right.
And a lot of women are trying to change their career fields. They're trying to go from IT to cybersecurity. Right. And if nobody's opening doors for you, right, with an internship or the ability to get some on the job training, and you don't have the money for certs, play games.
Play games. Yep.
Write it down.
Yep.
The more
And
we recognize the value.
And you can also record yourself while you're going through those challenges. That's another great way to document in long form what it is that you're doing. And you can point people to, your YouTube channel or a blog post or something like that to show, yeah, I may not have done this at, Johnson & Johnson, but I have these experiences and I have these skills that can be useful in your organization. And then you say, hey, here's my portfolio, and it's up to them to go out and do the extra work if they need to do that, right? So, and then your story, whatever you're working on, whatever you're sharing, somebody else can resonate. They resonate with that.
Yep.
Jessica tells me all the time, share your story. So share your story of your journey from basic beginner to CTF master, or CTF ninja, because that story, somewhere in there, somebody's going to have use for that information.
Yeah, and network, right? You're going to meet a lot of different people, and the folks probably have cybersecurity jobs. So know who you're playing with beyond their handle, and engage with them on social media, etc. For these kinds of things, just so that you can create that network. So as we start to wrap this up, a lot of questions. Why don't we bring it back to the title? Why don't we bring it back to women? Why should women play more cyber games to advance their careers?
Because it's fun. Because, in all seriousness, it shows that you take the initiative to increase your learning, to expand your knowledge, to build, and because, like I said, it's a lot of fun. Competitions are super fun. They can be frustrating, but once you break through, or once you and your team get those points and it's like, oh man, I'm on a roll, the adrenaline starts to go and you start thinking, all right, I know this, I can do that. And your confidence starts to build. And so that's why I think it's really, really important that we emphasize and we reiterate to people that playing games is not just for the boys. The women like it too. I'm not a gamer per se, like video games, but I'll play Candy Crush quick. I'll play cyber games on my phone, or I'll watch that stuff. And so we like to do the same thing. So why can't we? And we should.
We should. And it will help us advance. And, if we can bring that collaboration, the teamwork effort, that preparation, the learning aspects to how we play games and be able to capture it and communicate it articulately, I think we can start to advance our careers even further. And I think it's important, one of the things that we did with Wicked 6, Mary, you might recall, is we had that requirement for the teams to had to have a girl on the team. And we're always talking about inclusion and diversity. And I'll tell you, the college teams came up to us after Wicked 6. They really liked that requirement because it gave them an excuse to diversify their team, right? They almost need an excuse. Isn't that crazy? But I get
That's
it.
Crazy.
Right? It's crazy, but they needed that excuse because a lot of times when you're trying to, team up, you're just going to go with your friends, right? And your friends look like you, talk like you, that kind of thing. But when you put that diversity requirement on it, they had to add women to the team. And they thought it was awesome because it really helped break down the think tank, right? And women see the world differently. And in games we can play because the barriers aren't there like they are in the offices, right? It's not about how much education you have or who you know. It's what you can do.
It's about what you can do. What can your hands do on that keyboard? Or what can you do in a presentation? That's what it's about. And
a level playing field.
I like games. It works. Now we just got to get more folks doing it, and get the broader community to buy into the fact that, hey, the skills they're gaining in these cyber competitions is actually really, really useful and helpful. You know, that's another thing we have to work on, so that they see the value in something like this, because you gain so many skills from playing in cyber games and competitions, and even watching them, you gain so many skills.
Yeah, and don't be afraid. I guess in final thoughts, if you're looking at playing games and stuff, don't be afraid to approach your work and ask for coverage. A lot of businesses are now providing what you charge numbers, if you will, for the hours to cover your
Right.
time.
Yep.
Or they're, putting together pizza. They'll cover the cost of the game if there's an entry fee. It doesn't hurt to ask, and it shows that you're going above and beyond.
Exactly.
Any final thoughts,
Are there
Mary?
any questions? Or no, let's get playing. Let's do this.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank everybody for attending today. Play, compete, win. Get out there and see what you can do with your skill sets and help to advance your career. Once again, we'll put the plug in for the Women's Society of Cyber Jiu-Jitsu. Visit us online. Reach out to Marcel. She did put in the chat window, if you scroll up, the link to our Slack channel for competitions. Mary posted the information for Cyber Fast Track. On playcyber.com as well. News coming out from there. Go forth and do wonderful things. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.